by year.
Who decided that? Who decided that each year on your anniversary, this is what's expected? Expected.
I hate the fact that I have to go to a practicalwedding.com to find this.
But
Hold on. I feel like that should be right up your alley.
I think I found
You
our
homeowner.
Wow. Again, I was not expecting it. I think I found our new fake ad for the week. How you feel about doing another voice, Justin? I got an idea brewing.
I would love it.
I got an idea brewing.
It's not the only thing percolating.
No, sir.
Oh boy, here we go.
Are you going to find that answer on your watch?
I am going to find it.
Where are you going to find it?
So
That's just in. Inspector Gadget here.
I do love the fact that on the Apple Watch now they have a walkie-talkie feature, and I'm like, this is full Dick Tracy at this point. Full Dick Tracy. Full Dick Tracy. Comma, Tracy.
Are you ready for the full Dick, comma, Tracy?
All right, so anniversary gifts by year.
You don't want me to look.
I'm going to test you and see.
Oh, good.
If you can. Good morning, Jared.
Good morning, Jared.
So year one, I knew the first year. None of the rest did I know. So what do you think the first year is?
Wooden spoon.
False. Wood comes later. Hopefully you've given the wood before. Oh, year one, oh boy.
Well, if you love Jesus and you continue to wait.
Until you're 50.
Oh, boy.
When it don't work no more. Year one is paper. Now, I don't know what that means.
Please.
But here's
Happy anniversary. Here's a notebook.
Here's a ream of 500 sheets of the finest printer paper you can.
It's not even perforated. You just have to rip that shit out.
This is semi-gloss. Paper. So I my guess is
here's some printer paper.
Maybe
Enjoy.
like a newspaper clipping from the day that you were married, or
I just say the newspaper.
Just
there you go, honey. Here's today's paper.
Here's the Daily Herald.
Happy anniversary.
Maybe a poem. Maybe you write something to them. I don't know. What if you had to give a gift of paper to your wife on your first anniversary? What would you have given?
Oh my God! It would have been like
toilet paper.
Thank you.
Because everybody poops.
Everybody poops. It would have been a silly note.
Yeah.
That was probably left someplace in particular. Like I wrote her note in her book as a bookmark.
Yeah.
Months ago. And I just wrote, so when she turned the page, it'd come out and I said, and the Hulk said, not today, and punched his way out of the situation. So she would turn to that page and she found it and she was like, God damn it, that's awesome. So that's
you read it on the
what
bookmark or in the book?
In the book. I did a small sheet of paper and I wrote it and I put it in. And
on a sheet of paper.
So she'd turn the page and she'd see like the new.
And the Hulk said,
not today, and punched his way out of the situation.
I feel like I would have given a Post-it note.
Nice.
Like just like on the fridge it said, need milk.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. Here's our shopping list for the week. Second year.
It's got to be copper spoons.
You got the first two letters right.
Cotton.
Cotton.
What the fuck?
It's the fabric of our lives, Doug.
Jesus Christ. Cotton what?
Panties? I don't know.
What? Cotton blanket?
For yourself.
Oh, this is for individual anniversary?
It's going to get real weird.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Cotton. Here's the really comfy shirt. Happy anniversary.
I bought you Feety pajamas.
Oh, my God. Here's some really cozy socks.
They're 100% cotton.
Oh, my God. Who determines this?
The council.
Them. The council.
Them.
The council.
The council determines this.
Oh, my God.
Year three?
It's got to be... oh, shit. It's got to be brass knuckles.
We're kinking it up in year three.
All right.
Leather.
And again, in what, like a leather jacket?
Well, the thing is, I think you can start to get, here's a wallet if you want it. Like if she was giving,
after 3 years.
I'm just saying, here's a wallet to
Paper,
put all the money, because we
cotton,
flush with cash, baby.
Leather. Ugh.
We're
a
just
nice
going
purse.
through fabrics now. Year four.
This has got to be seashells.
Fruit and, that's a good guess. Fruit and flowers or linen and silk.
Hold on.
Yep.
We go paper, cotton, leather, fruit or flowers?
Oh, yeah.
How?
Or You have an option. It's fruit and...
Why give options? Just say what it is.
It's fruit and flowers. You have to do them together.
Fruit,
if you want...
edible arrangement.
Bam. If you want, you can also get flowers that produce fruit, and a little 2-for-1 there.
Oh, my God.
Or the other option is linen and silk. Bed sheets.
Linen and silk.
So,
or fruit and flowers.
Jared said, for the paper one, you write them a poem. Roses are red, violets are blue, poems are hard, and so am I. Well done, Jared.
I just came.
Also, that kind of takes into account flowers too, right? Roses are, so you got it. Year 5.
This is the one. This is, shit.
You already said it.
I did?
Yeah.
Wood.
It's wood.
It's wood.
Again,
I don't understand this hierarchy.
You have to whittle her a canoe.
I don't think you whittle people canoes.
Then you've never given wood as a gift.
Apparently.
Doug.
Oh, I have. And it's been received, thankfully.
Roses are red. Year 6. I'm sorry. These are amazing. Year 6. We'll burn through these here.
Year 6 is this is where you get annuals, like annual plants. No, perennials, because this is like, we're gonna be here for life. I'm planting this. This means it's coming back every year.
It's a good thought, but no, it's iron/candy.
What? Okay.
Yep. And
okay.
it's not like iron or candy. It's iron candy. I don't iron/candy. So I guess or maybe.
What iron would you have gotten somebody? An iron...
A railing?
Here, it's go up the stairs easier.
Here's a cast iron skillet for when we go camping.
I guess. I don't, again, it's
This
like, I'm thinking of like leveling up and all the video games I've played and like, I'm going to specialize in crafting. I'm going to craft some blacksmithing shit. You start out with something very basic, like, I'm going to make a copper sword. And then you're like, I'm going to smelt that with some tin and I make some bronze and do bronze. And then I'm going to go iron.
That shit doesn't happen until you're 12, Doug.
And then from iron, I smelt and I go steel. And then from steel, I do, a little bit of mithril,
Yeah. You got to throw the mithril in there.
Got to get that really good stuff,
Yeah.
And then you go adamantite, after you do some alchemist stuff.
Yep.
It gets progressively stronger and more valuable and more difficult.
Up to the point where you're combining
paper, cotton,
leather,
wood,
fruit and flowers, or linen and silk,
and then
wood,
iron,
then iron and candy.
I don't understand. Who's like, this is what you get.
So 7th year,
pearls.
We're getting itchy and we're going wool or copper. There's your copper.
What?
Yep, wool or copper. Or you get them both, and you can clean your copper with a wool.
Steel wool?
A steel wool.
It's not real wool.
Well, steel comes in year 11, but let's not jump. Year 10. Think about the Tuesday special here at Elephant and Castle.
Tin.
It's tin or aluminium.
Oh my God.
Year 11 is steel. Year 12 is silk.
Didn't we already talk about silk? There was linen and silk earlier.
Yes, correct.
What?
So you have to give it as a pair. This is just linen. This is just silk.
Oh my God.
This is where you
this
get a
is
solo,
fucking lazy.
This is where you get a solo silk gift.
Can you imagine having to live by these rules? Can you imagine being
absolutely not.
Oh my God, he didn't get me silk this year.
He must not love me. Or she.
And just being judged harshly by the community.
Oh, well played, Jared. He said get Iron Man candy. Now we're thinking. We're combining it.
I'm all right. Okay.
If you buy her an iron, you might get divorced. Accurate.
I'm pretty sure that's what was done. Here you go. Here's your iron.
Year 13, milk. No, I'm joking. For those of you not watching the stream, Doug just got rage in his eyes.
It doesn't make sense.
So year 13, you want to guess?
Is it a metal?
It is not. Now we're getting into the more fine things in life.
Bees.
Correct. Bees. Not the bees! Year 13 is lace. Lace.
That seems like that should be like a year 2 or 3.
Lace. Year 14, you got to kill an elephant and give her some ivory.
Ooh.
Yeah, you got to go on safari. Year 15.
Diamonds.
No. Doug,
gold.
You're an idiot. It's crystal.
Oh.
So you bring her a stripper. Years 20.
Wait, we
jump from
some.
15 to 20.
There's no...
16, 17, 18, 19, you don't get each other gifts.
Seriously? There's nothing there?
It's just 15 to 20. So it goes.
How couldn't we? Why
it
don't
goes
we just,
1 through 15, and then it's every 5 years after that.
What the fuck? I don't get this at
Because
all.
it starts to get real expensive after 15 years of marriage, Doug.
No, it actually starts to get stupid. Is what happens.
We're running. We can't do one of everything because we'll run out of things to give.
Oh my God.
So year 20, trip to China, or just no China. That must be the dishes. Yeah,
China, you get the country. You battle for the country of China.
Give you China.
That's another stupid thing I never understood. Like find China.
Yeah.
My mom.
Oh God, that was one thing where Beth and I agreed 100%. We're like, we're not doing this.
My mom has a whole set of china that we've never used. It just sits in a case.
Yep.
And there's so much of that shit that I can't stand. It's like a formal dining room.
Right.
Why do we have this? Are we pretending that we're going to have a formal dinner? That may have been a thing of the past, but it doesn't exist anymore. I'm like, this is a waste of fucking space.
Heat up your pizza and go sit in front of the TV like
Yes.
everyone.
Or get like whatever else you have. Like, it's so dumb. It's so dumb.
Number 25. You're 25.
You're
25th year.
25. This is where you get.
We're back to metals.
Okay, cool. Uranium.
Close. It's really close. That's year 30. Year 25 is silver.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Year 30,
Gold.
you just said uranium. You're not listening. Year 30 is pearl.
Oh, that's where pearl is.
That's where the pearl comes in.
Again, seems like that should come sooner.
35th year, this one's tough. You got to take her to you got to go diving for this one. After you go diving for the pearl, you got to go back in and you got to go diving for coral.
Coral?
Yeah. And that is not how Rick Grimes says his son's name.
What?
Coral from the sea.
Coral!
Coral!
Wait, what is coral?
Sea anemones.
I understand, but in what way are you giving someone the gift of coral?
You rip it out of the sea.
What the fuck?
I don't know. Is coral, can't that be also a type of stone or no? Is there petrified coral? Am I making that up?
I have no idea.
I might be. I make a lot of things up. 40th year.
Anal.
My 50th year. We're skipping.
Double anal.
That goes. that takes you 10 years through. 40th year is ruby. Give her a ruby. 45th year.
45th year.
Sapphire.
Oh.
50th year. Year
Emerald.
50.
Emerald.
No.
Gold.
Gold. Jesus. Exactly. Gold, Jerry. 55th year.
Oh no, I got
You
it.
just said it.
Gotcha. Funeral plot.
That's it.
Emerald.
Yep, that's emerald.
How is emerald after gold?
Because 60th year. We're going.
That's not possible.
We're going reverse alphabetically. 60th year it is too.
Is not possible.
My grandparents were married over 60 years. Okay. You're right.
I just kind of you're like what? You're like that doesn't make what? How can you tell me?
They were married over 60 years. You said it so soft. You're wrong.
You're like you stunned you for a second. You're
I
like,
was like, wait, what?
like how can you say?
How are you telling me this?
You're like, oh, okay.
I see.
Know.
You're doing the Doug thing.
You know that they were. How many people do you think are married at over 60 years?
It depends how many people have the 60th gift.
Which is required.
Which is required. You were close with the last one. It's a tombstone.
It's a tombstone.
It's granite. No.
Yeah, there you go. What is the hierarchy? It doesn't make sense.
No, 60 is diamond.
Okay, there's
because
diamond.
that's forever, and
and
you're getting to the point where you're not. Yeah. And then after that, they don't have anything because.
Jesus Christ.
So now you know where. So where are you and Jill? What are you coming up on?
We just had our 10th, so I think we're in 11 years. Is that right? Yeah. Well, we're coming up on 11 years.
Okay,
next
so
year.
11 years. So you need to get her something steel next year.
I'll steal something for her.
Oh, we skipped year 9. It's
pumpkin
pottery.
Oh, fuck you guys.
Originally, I read it as poetry. I'm like, that's easy.
Pottery.
Yeah, so there's that. You don't ever say that you don't learn things listening to Mind Gap.
Ugh. Again, who established this hierarchy of dog shit? And again,
so here's the Practical Wedding wrote. Let me just read the intro to this.
Oh, great.
When my husband and I were approaching our first anniversary, we made a deal that we would choose gifts that align with the traditional anniversary gifts year by year. I don't know why exactly, but something about giving gifts that have been given for hundreds of years appealed to us, I guess. To review,
Jesus
here are the
Christ, I guess? Come on.
I don't know why exactly. I guess. Like, you could not be less into this. To review, here are the traditional wedding anniversary
This
gifts.
sounds like someone wrote a book report.
I want to know why, who, they date back to ancient times. I guess because they're just like, you couldn't give like video games or books back then. So
I mean, I'm thinking like, even early 1900s.
oh, this other gift has specifically the 60th is a yellow diamond.
I know that was a thing.
He's just pissing the diamond.
I was like, I know blood diamonds.
Oh, now there's modern and traditional, and then there's modern, and then are there other ones? There's millennial.
I'm sure it'll be like, yeah, don't get them anything because they hate American industry.
Oh man, I don't even. Nope, can't. Closing that webpage.
Gross.
Anyway.
Well, that was fun.
Oh boy.
Thank you for
Sorry about that.
And I think is like if you think back to olden times, that stuff made sense.
Sure.
But even still, that was like.
But I guess let's take it for like paper. You could give them a book. You could give them a journal. You can give them
like maybe something like absolutely something that they didn't normally have around. Where for us, we're like, do you want copy paper?
You want a Kindle?
Like, what do you want?
Right.
And that sort of stuff makes sense. But again, to go from paper to linen, to
I guess the thing is too, like, who remembered all that?
to wood.
Because were people like, shit, what did we decide on again? What was that one? I don't know. Get her that. That looks like an
And
emerald.
not that you couldn't just look that shit up either.
Right.
Like we just did.
Yeah.
What year are we? We're 11. Well, fuck, what's that?
I must remember. Yeah.
It's like my mother told me to remember the 60 years of marriage.
Well, when you went to finishing school, that's what all the guys learn is they're like, okay, you've got to learn which spoon goes with, when you eat soup. And then what do you get your
because
wife?
guys went to finishing school.
Maybe, I don't know. What is it? What do they go to? They had to go to some prep school, right?
Not
Was
for
it
that
prep
shit.
school? I don't know. What
They went to war.
They went to war. When they were sitting in the mess hall, in the mess tent, and they were like, they're getting killed with mustard gas. That's what they talked about.
What are you getting?
Say, what'd you get your dame?
Well, we're 3 years, so it's got to be either flowers or fruit, or linen and silk.
I've got me a touch of the gout, so I probably won't be coming home.
Oh my gosh! I don't know what that was. Oh my gosh!
Oh my god!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Yeah.
That just for some reason that really pissed me off. I don't know why. I was like, I don't understand the value of anything.
I want for the rest of your marriage, I want you to adhere to this list,
No.
but do it in complete joke form.
Okay.
Please.
All right. We'll see what I can do.
Cool.
Let's get stretch my creativity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll send you this link every year around your anniversary, and you'll thank me.
No, I won't. I'll send you pictures of spiders in return.
Oh God, that's not fair. I don't like any of that.
This is Roger. He's really angry.
What year do you think Roger represents?
I
I don't like this game anymore.
How long do you think Roger was married?
I don't like this game at all.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm super sweaty now.
I'm glad I make you sweaty.
You do.
That makes me happy.
In all the right ways.
Yeah.
So I was reading an article about how a movie's getting canceled. Did you hear about this?
Sorry, Jared, if you bring a book of Australian spiders for me, you are not coming on the show.
Jared!
I'm putting it out there right now.
He's my hero.
I've already, I've got goosebumps. I don't like it.
It's the title of the book is called
like it.
"This Book is Full of Spiders."
No, even the thought of just that is
That's
making me
actually the name of a book.
I don't like it.
It's called.
I don't like any of it.
This book is full of spiders.
We're done. Moving on. You were reading a book that was not spider-based.
I
Go.
was not reading a book. I was reading an article.
An article. Fine. That was not spider-based. Go.
That said, there was a movie recently that's going to be canceled. It's called The Hunt.
Okay.
It's a Universal picture. The premise of the movie is around The Most Dangerous Game. It's kind of like a modern take on that. You familiar with that? The Most Dangerous Game, where people are captured and they're hunted by people because the people.
Wasn't that similar like The Running Man or something? Like a Schwarzenegger? Wasn't he in
Well,
one where
it was kind of like
they
that.
were put into a thing and they had to survive?
Yeah, like the concept of this has existed in many different forms, but
Hunger Games to a point was the same thing, where you're hunting persons.
the idea is like there's a group of elite people who basically trap people and they let them loose in a jungle and they basically go and hunt them because that's the most exciting game for them to hunt.
Sure, yeah.
And this movie, the premise was that similar thing. They're captured by elitists, but these people that get captured turn the tables and they start hunting the elite.
Ooh.
Doo-doo-doo. But in light of all the mass shootings,
Right.
they started like pulling back on their advertising, and then Trump was basically called out the movie and was saying that Hollywood's hypocritical and yada, yada, yada. And Universal straight up canceled the release of the film.
Interesting.
It's supposed to come out, I think, in September.
Interesting.
And I was like, because we've talked about this before with past movies.
Yeah.
There was that gangster movie like that took place outside of a movie theater after there was a movie theater shooting.
Yeah.
And situations where movies are imitating life in some way or something like that. And, it bothered me because, I think it's produced by the same people that do The Purge, and
I see no value in the Purge movies, personally.
They
actually kind of anger me.
For me, it's kind of like the first Saw movie.
Yeah.
I love that movie to this day. I think it's
Really?
great. I love the concept. It was very unique at the time.
Yeah.
And I
felt
loved
nauseous when I watched that movie.
I love the reveal at the end, and I was like, oh wow, how cool.
Yeah.
And what a cool thing, a villain that's just like, hey, you should appreciate life because I can't, yada yada yada. It's the same thing with the idea of The Purge. I haven't seen it, but it was interesting to me. It's like one day a year.
Sure.
People get an opportunity to go out and do whatever the fuck they want, get it out of their system, and then it helps stabilize things. What a great premise.
Right.
And then, of course, they just drive it into the ground from there. It's also super violent and things like that. I mean, I just don't like how these individual properties just sort of get singled out.
Yeah.
And then they just get hyper-focused as being like, oh, well, this is inappropriate right now. I'm like, is it?
Yeah.
I was like, it's not like this movie's has been in production for probably at least a year, if not longer.
Yeah.
Pre-production, you think about all that sort of stuff. Like,
oh no, it's been
Yeah.
the writing process alone can sometimes take 2 years or more.
Yeah. So this has been in production for a long time,
Sure.
and then to be like, this movie is blah blah blah. I was like,
Right.
I disagree. Like, you could argue, and not only that, I'd also say this: release it. See if people show up to see it. If they don't show up to see it, guess what? People didn't want to see it.
Right.
At this point in time, they're probably like, "No, I'm good. I got plenty of this in real life." You know what I mean? Like, I think it's really, to me, it's really upsetting that you would take something like that isn't even like, this is a movie about someone who's shooting up a mall. It's about it's a common type of story that's been told many times before, just being told in a slightly different way.
There was a movie. What was that movie?
And I get really irked by this sort of stuff because I'm like, just let it play out. Because most
Rampage.
You asshole.
No, sorry. That would have been.
I was like, fucking well done.
That would have been the best
fucking
setup.
well done.
Rampage was a 2009 film. Directed by, I think it was Uwe Boll. And,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was that one where basically it was about a kid who became a mass shooter and just leveled a town and got away at the end. And it was that movie, I would argue, even then it probably was.
It was gratuitous.
It was gratuitous. And especially in today's climate, I would argue that movie does not need to be made. Like,
Agreed.
There's something about that. Something like this, I feel like there is there's a level of non-realness to it, that where I'm like, Dad, I can see where again, that story's been around for a while. Hunger Games did something. Would you cancel the Hunger Games?
Yeah.
It's people hunting each other, really.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, I will say that while I vehemently disagree with video games and because again, the fact that Trump called out the fact that in that little speech he gave, the 9-minute whatever
Ramblings.
that was, that he was attempting to read off a teleprompter. Like he called out, he did all the same, all the best hits, all the classics, the best of. He called out video games, he called out movies, he called out just hot media, and this and that, and all there was something else that he called out where I was just like, really? We're fucking doing this now too?
Hamsters?
Fucking hamsters?
Who the fuck do they think they are?
Mental illness.
Uh-huh.
And it was one of those where, again, mental illness is not something that we should ignore in regards to this, but it's not like mentally ill people you can't just be like, mentally ill, he's a shooter. Like that doesn't go together. You know what I mean? It doesn't go together.
Says who?
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
But he went through all the greatest hits, but I vehemently disagree that these things cause that. I don't think violent video games cause people to be violent.
Nope.
I disagree with the fact that movies. Now that being said, I do feel like I almost kind of want a reprieve from violence in movies.
Of course.
In the sense that I don't think it's to blame, but there's just a ton of it.
Well, and that's why I say you want to talk about free market, let the market decide how well this movie does. Because I saw it and I was like, nope, not interested.
Right.
I'm good. I've seen this movie before and I'm not interested,
Right.
And I wouldn't go see it. And it's not because it's violence, because I'm like, I have no interest in seeing it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we do have something in our society very much is like, we're way okay with violence.
Right.
And way more than we should be.
Well, way more than our nudity or anything else.
Yeah, right? You can't see a wiener.
Right.
Without freaking out.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But let's watch someone get their head lopped off.
Yeah, like it's one of those things where, it says something greater in general, but I'm like, don't cancel the fucking movie.
Right.
Like that's for what? And again, it's like, would anyone even care? Like just that movie looked to me like it was going to be like your average movie at best. It wasn't going to be anything fantastic. And they're like, Universal's like, we respect it. We're going to I'm like, you canceled the whole, not delaying release, just fucking canceling it. It's completely off their release schedule. I'm like, what?
But again, it's their prerogative too.
Oh,
I mean,
they have every right to do it.
Yeah.
But I was like, we shouldn't have to do that. Because to me, that's a situation where this is such a loose connection to what's going on that I don't feel. Again, if it was something like Rampage,
right.
or it was something that was overly gratuitous,
right.
and you could argue, what about John Wick? You know what I mean? Like
they killed his dog, Doug.
Oh, and they be damned, and they be dead because of it. But I mean, look at you talk about that sort of shit, and things like that. And it just happens to be right now. They're like that one,
right?
That's gonna be our scapegoat. I'm like, Let's look at some of the movies that have come out so far this year. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, even Hobbs and Shaw, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty violent film.
Absolutely. Yeah. You could argue that the Avengers.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like it is like that. There are people dying in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just completely dusted
All
away.
out war. So Jared, before I bring that, have you seen? I don't know if we did this in the group chat or not, but there's a you had brought up John Wick. There's a comic where it's Thanos and Tony Stark and Doctor Strange, and they're like Thanos is like, give me the final stone, and they hand him a dog, and they're like, it's inside this dog, and he's just like, he destroy all you just see intestines and stuff, and he's like, there's no stone or something, and they're like, they said something, and he's like, is that the plan? And Doctor Strange goes, wait for it. And the next frame is John Wick shows up. He's like, anyone see my dog? He's in Thanos' next frame is, oh, shit. Like, that would have been the best, yeah.
That's awesome.
But no, Jared brought up, he goes, on this topic, I don't know if you heard about this in the news, there was a knife attack in Sydney yesterday. Mm-hmm. And one person died, and a few others were hurt. A girl got stabbed in the back a couple times. But the guy was taken down by a milk crate and a chair.
I did hear about that. Yeah, people were praising it. They're like, well, they go.
Yeah, all these people converged around him. A couple ran ahead telling people to get out of the streets. And he was taken down, and one person over his torso pinned him with the chair, and another person put a milk crate over his head.
That's awesome.
And they just sit there waiting.
That's awesome.
And the cop showed up, cuffed him, took him away. And
That's
I was
amazing.
just like, if that was in the States, the guy would have been shot. The cops would have been it's one of those.
It's our
where
culture.
they did not need a gun to bring this guy down. This guy didn't have a gun, in fairness. Mm-hmm. But again, I feel like all these arguments about these wouldn't happen if everyone had a gun. I'm like, well, it happened, and it also was resolved with that one.
Well, it's just interesting because even if I was reading an article today, like down in Mexico, like most Mexico their citizens have the exact same right to bear arms, and a ridiculous number of people don't.
Right.
They don't. There's one gun store in the entire country, and people just don't. They don't care. That's not what they're concerned about.
Right.
But there's other things that they are. Because I was reading an article about the Mexican Alex Jones.
Oh, Jesus. He exists?
There's a guy who basically
thing?
does the same thing in Mexico.
Oh, no.
And they said, unlike, Alex Jones, who stokes American fears of like the government taking your guns and stuff like that, this guy preys on the things that really freak out a lot of Mexicans is earthquakes. Because in 1985, there was a devastating earthquake that just really fucked the country in a lot of ways. So, like, he's basically saying that the government knows earthquakes are coming, but they refuse to tell anybody about it. And he's spreading a lot of, like, insanity that way.
Really cuckoo banana stuff.
Yeah, it's the same Alex Jones, but in a different way. But it was interesting because he goes, the things that would typically rile up Americans, like guns, doesn't work down there.
Right.
Because they're like, we don't want guns.
Right.
Like, we prefer not. In fact, we don't give a shit. We don't want them.
Right.
So, like, it fascinated me because we are the complete opposite.
Right.
Where it's like, we're like, fuck it, earthquakes, but our guns.
Right.
It's just interesting. The different take, and Jim Jeffries does a great job in his bit about,
Jim Jeffries might have one of the absolute best takes on that I've ever heard of.
I just love that where, he says like, no more guns. And everyone's like, yeah, you're probably right.
In Australia?
Yeah. He's like, you're right. Australians are like, yeah, you're right.
Yep.
We fucked up.
That makes sense.
You're right.
Yeah.
But then it's like America, it's like, no guns. Are like, fuck you.
I also love the bit that when he goes down the road of, and again, we're going to piss some people off with this, but whatever. Like I'm also not saying, I'm not saying that we need to come in and take everyone's guns away. I also don't think we need them. Mm-hmm. That's like, so I'm not saying we're going to rip them out of your hands, but at the same time, I question, why do you really need that?
Well, it sucks because there's so many people that are legitimately good and they take care of their guns.
Right.
They're responsible. But again, also another Jim Jeffries joke, there's speed limits for a reason.
Right.
Because Dan was driving really fast and destroyed a bus full of kids. So now we all have to go the speed limit.
Right.
Like that's the thing is, in general, we have to play the lowest common denominator.
Right.
I fucking hate that in every aspect of my life.
Right.
In my world of training, having to be like, all right, we got to pretend that there's going to be someone that really doesn't understand this material, and we got to cater to that person. I was like, but what if everyone else in the room is getting it?
Right.
It's like, well, this one person's not. And I was like, but we're ruining the learning experience for everybody else. Not saying we should leave this person behind, but that's the dilemma that we're always met with is, in general, there are a lot of really good, responsible gun owners.
Sure.
But there's also fucking idiots out there.
We're looking for 100-round, 100-round capacity magazines. And it's like, it's not a defensive weapon anymore.
Or 4th of July, when I went down to the Ozarks, some asshole was throwing fireworks out of their fucking hotel room. Out just into the bushes. And everyone around goes, fucking knock it off. Like,
right.
we all were like, they did it twice. The second time, we're like, seriously, fucking quit.
Yeah.
There's always going to be at least one asshole out there that's going to be like, look what I can do. He twirls the gun and then shoots somebody, So that's the unfortunate reality of the situation is there's going to be assholes. There's going to be idiots.
Right.
And we got to play to the lowest common denominator, as annoying as that is.
What I was going to say is, though, he also has that part of that bit where he goes, all right, so you're a responsible, you say you have it for protection. I got to protect my home. I got to protect my family and mine. Okay. He goes, if you're a responsible gun owner, then you do not have it loaded and you have it locked up in a safe, right? So someone breaks into your house, they come up the stairs and they go, give me all your cash. And you go, wait right there, motherfucker. You walk over to your safe and you go, hold on. To the left. Three to the, no, I changed it last week. Hold on. All right, no, it's 4 to the left. Just, you give me 1 second. I'm going to be with you in a minute. You're going to regret this.
You're going to get it, buddy.
You're going to get it, buddy. And it's like, again, if you're being a responsible gun owner, that's where it's stored. So this notion that you're going to be Wyatt Earp and you're going to be, I'm going to take the intruder down right away. Also, those who, and this is another one he does, he goes, those who have these like submachine guns and these, high capacity magazines, who do you think's coming after you?
Yeah.
You're like, I need this for protection. From whom?
Yeah.
Like, do you think you're going to have a militia coming after you?
Yeah.
Because fuck you if you think you're that important that anyone, like an army's coming after you. Good luck, pal.
And again, I feel like the people that are responsible put that in safes aren't really concerned about protection. They're doing that stuff for sport, and I'm all for that, man. Sure. I'm all for people being like, hey, you want to collect guns? Cool. Yeah. That's totally fine. As long as you're responsible with it, I'm cool with it.
Jared says here, the thing is, we do have guns in Australia, but there's so many restrictions that you don't bother unless you need it.
Exactly.
So basically, it's just like, fuck it.
Yeah. And I get it. Like, so again, it goes back to there's people like, look, I am responsible. I follow the laws. Why should I be penalized? It's like, we're not worried about you.
Right.
And if you really want this, you got to go through all this other sort of stuff.
Right.
And, and that's where I land with that, because for the longest time I was like, fuck them. But then I met a lot of people that are like, look, man, I meet them. They're good people. And they're like, yeah, I have guns. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I would trust you with that because you're fucking smart. I don't expect you to do anything stupid with it. And, for them to be like, why do I have to be penalized for this? I'm like, it's not about you.
Right. Well, it's not about you, and B, I don't feel like they're being penalized. Like no one's ripping them away from you. No one's saying all guns have to be smelted down to make our new currency. Like, that's not what we're saying. It's just making sure that you really, again, to Jared's point, you've really gotta want it to jump through all the hoops. It's not a penalization. It's just, again, going. If you fail your driver's license test, you're not going to get a driver's license.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree.
That book is riddled with rules.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And, kind of going back to, the movie and stuff like that, it annoys me that we're so reactionary. Like, somehow I think, what was it, Cracked had an article that said, Universal cancels The Hunt, America's problems immediately solved.
Right.
Like, what are we solving by not releasing this movie?
Yeah.
And nothing, absolutely nothing.
Right.
It's a reactionary thing. It was like, again, like, I can't remember the name of the movie, but it was like Gangster Squad, I think is what it was called. And it got bumped 4 months because they had to reshoot the scene, because originally I
know this one.
It was in the movie theater where it got shot up, and now I think that was shortly after the Aurora movie theater situation. And people are like, this is insensitive. I'm like, yeah, but this movie was was being made
Ryan Gosling, Josh Brolin
years in advance,
right?
And it just was it was an inopportune time, and it wasn't even. I don't think it was that good of a movie anyway. It didn't do well.
Got 32% Rotten Tomatoes.
It was. It was like, oh my god, we're gonna bump it back to February where we'll die a horrible death, and it's like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Because does anyone remember that movie?
Right. No, absolutely
and then
not.
booting it back and being like, yes, that saved America.
Right.
And I'm not saying that's what they're intending, but I'm like, is it really that insensitive? Is it really that, because it's the same thing. Like, it's a double-edged sword, because if people really like it, they'll watch it, right?
Yeah.
They'll pay to see it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of violent things out there. Game of Thrones, The Boys, which is awesome, by the way. You should watch it. There's a lot of that sort of stuff, but also at the same side of it, I think another good example is the movie Falling Down with Michael Douglas.
Yeah.
That's a situation where you could look at that as like, that's glorifying violence. It's like, no, how does that movie end? That guy wreaks havoc and ultimately dies. Like, because Rampage is just glorifying violence.
Absolutely.
And I would argue that
he gets away at the end.
I'd also argue that a lot of Quentin Tarantino stuff glorifies violence as well. It makes it look cool.
Yeah.
And it's a situation. I'm sure John Wick's like that to a certain extent too.
Absolutely.
And I think it's always looking at it from the perspective of, what is it are we trying to achieve with this? What are we trying to what story are we trying to tell?
Yeah.
Because for me nowadays, that's what matters more than anything, is what's the moral of the story? What are we trying to get at by doing this? Because I think you can tell an amazing story through the lens of violence like that.
I think you can shine light on it. Like, I think, was it a history of violence? Was that with
Vigo?
That's no. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's about violence, basically transcending. I think it posits, if you're a violent person or if you have a violent past, does that carry on to your family and to your kids? The sins of the father.
I'm sorry, it's American History X.
Oh yeah.
You can again. I know you and Haig, disagree with each other slightly on that movie, but
I think Haig's come around that it's a great movie.
It's one of those though that again you can show like you can educate through and be like, this is something. Look at this story. Watch this transformation. Watch this transition. Watch what happens. This is what these people think, and this is why, and how you can pull out of it. Like, there's a whole there's levels to it. There's context and subtext to it.
Yeah,
you can use that to educate. You know?
Yeah,
and explore that side of it.
Yeah, and I think that's all what it's about. In is the Hunt trying to make that that message? Probably not. But at the same time, I mean, you're talking about average people, fighting the elite. So there's probably some metaphors and some subtext there. Well, the elite's hunting us. A bunch of globalists are hunting, small folk, but we turn the tables and we go get them. There's probably something to be said in that regard for what they're trying to achieve. But at the end of the day, I'm like, guys, look, let's not judge a movie that's been years in the process of making based on the current climate. Like in this situation, I feel like I don't think there's anything insensitive about that movie coming out.
I agree. I would say that if it was a different movie, the act of pulling the movie, I don't disagree with. Mm-hmm. Pulling this movie specifically, I don't understand that.
Yeah,
if you're going to pull, if Rampage was coming out, the 2009 one, not the amazing award-winning blockbuster that The Rock was starred in recently, that you now own. If that other Rampage, we're going to call it the other Rampage, if the other Rampage had come out or was slated to come out, I 100% could understand them pulling it, and I would actually 100% agree with them pulling it.
Yeah.
Again, not because it perpetuates violence, but that it is just, there's a lot of emotion wrapped up in what's going on today with that. And it would be like, you know what, just to be sensitive to everyone who's lost their lives to this stuff, let's not do this.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things too where like, fuck, I had a point and it just went poof. I think it's a matter of the timing of it and what is the intent of it and what is, how close is it to if someone went out and made a YouTube video today that was like glorifying this because they want to capitalize on the news coverage. They want to hop on a hashtag and be like, check this thing out that I made.
Right.
Fuck those guys. Like,
absolutely.
That's not cool at all. Like, that's not those are the people where I'm like, you can go fuck yourself. You are actually capitalizing on this. But for someone who obviously it's not a direct correlation to what's going on and they've been making this for a long time.
The making it for a long time, I don't know. To me, that's not as strong as a point because again, let's take that the other Rampage. If that was being made for 5 years, through the script, which God, it was not, shouldn't have taken that long.
Well, Ube Bowl. There you go.
If it had been made for that long, where it was in that process of writing and prose and all that, and then it had just started, like it was just slated to be released, I still would say I don't care how long it took. Pull it because it's far too close to what's happening.
And the reason why I stress that is because it's not like someone intentionally made something based on that.
Yeah.
It's coincidence.
Yes.
And I would say in that regard, I agree with you. I'm like, that's not going to do well.
Right.
And again, because it's a poorly created film and it's like the story and everything is just, yeah, cool. A guy goes nuts and lives like
and pins it on his innocent friend. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, that's not a really good story.
Right.
But to have something that's been in the works, not like been like, oh, we just saw this mass shooting. Let's make something based around that. It's pure coincidence. And I'm with you there. Like, if you want to be sensitive to it, yeah. If you're like, yeah, this is really pretty close to, to this, It'd be like watching, what's crazy is I started watching this movie again. I've seen it many times, but it was on HBO the other day. I'm like, I'll fucking watch this. It's called The Siege with Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
I
haven't seen that. I can't even remember.
I don't remember when that came out. Can you look up when that movie came out? Because when you watch that now, you're like, this fucking movie kind of was prophetic in a lot of ways.
1998.
That is insane.
Denzel, Bruce Washington, Tony
Bruce Washington.
I looked at Bruce Willis's name, then back to Denzel Washington, and I combined the two.
Washington.
Wouldn't that be an actor?
Oh my God, Bruce Washington.
Yes, Denzel, Annette Bening, Bruce Willis, Tony Shalhoub. Yes.
But that movie, the premise is Denzel plays an FBI agent, and New York,
an anti-terrorism expert.
Yes. And New York becomes under siege by Islamic terrorists.
Oh, my.
And one of the opening scenes, a bus explodes, killing innocent people, and there's a terrorist cell that's operating in New York. And it's interesting because anti-Islamic sentiment builds up. They start putting those people in cages.
Oh, wow.
And they declare martial law. And I was like, yo, this was 3 years before 9/11.
Yeah.
Imagine if that movie came out in October. of 2001.
Right.
Now I'd be like, yeah, we probably shouldn't.
Maybe we pull this.
Maybe we pull this, right? Or it was the original Spider-Man, Sam Raimi. There was a teaser that showed these guys robbing a bank, and they're in a helicopter and they're trying to get away. And in New York, and as they're flying, all of a sudden the helicopter, it gets stuck and he pulls back, and there's a spider web between the Twin Towers that caught the helicopter.
Interesting.
They pulled that teaser.
Yep.
After 9/11, because they're like, yeah, this is insensitive.
Too insensitive. Absolutely. See that? Yeah, that makes sense. You're just like, right, like that's yeah.
You're like, yeah, it's just a teaser. We can pull that. It's fine.
Right.
So in situations like that, I'm like, I get it. I get why certain things, maybe be like, yeah, not right now. It would make sense. But in this situation, it's such a leap to me to be like, we should take this down. I'm like, nah, I don't think so.
I mean,
I disagree.
I understand from the studio head's point of view, like
I know
what
why
they're
they
trying
did
to
it.
right, exactly. But like again, I think that for this specific instance, I don't think that it probably would have been a bad movie.
Yeah, it just sucks.
But regardless,
because I also look at it from this. From the perspective of the actors, the director.
Oh, everyone who put their time into it and everything.
Yeah, and for it to be like
Emma Roberts, Hilary Swank.
Yeah.
Oh, Glenn Howerton's in it?
Yeah.
Huh. From Always Sunny?
Yeah, there's and that's the thing, I'm like, oh man, they just straight
Ike
up got
Barinholtz
canceled.
is in it.
Straight up canceled, man. And I'm like, fuck, that sucks.
Interesting, yeah.
And again, I get why Universal did it. They want to be in everyone's good. Because imagine if they double down, they're like, nah, fuck you. Fuck you. We want.
Well, the worst thing they could have done was double down and said, no, we're going to release it anyways, or we're going to release it and the proceeds, what we make off it's going to be donated to the because that would have just been a slap in the face. Like it would have just been way messy.
I mean, they'd probably be better off delaying it, and for a future date. They should have canceled that shit. It is off their entire release schedule.
I actually wonder what the conversation was surrounding that. Like, why not, again, like, because what was the other one you said was bumped?
Gangster Squad?
Gangster Squad was bumped, 4 months or something?
Yeah,
so
I think it's supposed to come out in the fall and end up coming out in January or something.
What if they bumped this? Yeah, what if they bumped this a year? What if it came out next summer or something? Like,
I'm sure
like
they have their release schedules and stuff like that already locked or whatever.
But I'm saying, like, you
still.
can still shelve, things get moved around all the time. You could shelve this and find a slot. You could slot it in somewhere.
Oh, I agree.
And so it's just, I wonder what that conversation was. Or again, maybe there was integral scenes that couldn't be cut that did deal with something. Like, do you know what I mean? Like maybe there was something that we don't know about that was in there that they were like, look, this is never going to play.
I mean, I give credit to Universal. They're playing it safe.
Right.
They're like, why? I'm sure they're like, why? This movie's not that big of an investment.
Right.
We'll go ahead and cut it, and we'll just cut our losses and just be like, fuck it. There's no reason to generate any. But fuck it.
Right.
Just butt fuck it.
You got to listen to the best of to understand that inside joke.
Or go back and find the episode that's from. But it's one of those things where they're just like, let's just cancel it. How much? I can't imagine it was that big of a budget for that film.
Yeah.
And they're like, just cancel it. It's not worth, it's not Avengers.
It's not a big. It was made for $18.2 million.
It sucks, to swallow that,
Yeah. But still, in the grand scheme of things, 18.2. That's nothing.
A drop in the bucket
that is
for those guys.
That is an independent film for Universal.
Yeah,
that's nothing.
That's no big deal. They're like, well, just fucking cancel it,
Yeah.
and just eat the costs that we had
Yeah.
lined up for it. So it's just, I don't know. It's one of those things where it bothers me that, I don't want to shit on people like, oh, it's the people who are overly sensitive or whatever. I'm just like, I just wish we could take a breath and objectively look at this and be like, this is not the same as the mass shootings, and this is not these are to say it's apples and oranges is an understatement.
I don't know if it's apples. I wouldn't say it's an understatement to say it's apples and oranges. Where am I going to go with this? I just think there's a turn. Yes, we are. I do agree that as a culture, as a society rather, we're overly PC. We have become very PC, and it's hard to really even have a conversation about things because of how PC everything has become. I agree with that. Like it makes it hard for even the discussion to happen. Because immediately, even if you posit a different idea just for the sake of the discussion to learn more, you're immediately almost labeled wrong, and it's now you're vilified. So that's something that I think that has gotten to a critical mass point. But I do think that this is just my personal opinion. I do think that I think there's a shifting point that we're in, where people are just becoming more mindful about things. Mm-hmm. There's a deeper thought being given, a deeper consideration being given to a lot of stuff. Now, be that good or bad, I mean that's left up to the individual to decide.
Yeah,
but I think that's part of what we're seeing. This is maybe a byproduct of that.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, like what you said is really important at the end there, which is let the audience decide what it is.
I didn't say the audience. I didn't say they should have released it.
Well, I'm just saying, like, that's where I stand. I heard a hilarious story on your Mom's House podcast. This guy, I think it was Steven Randolph.
Chill's right. It never gets. You never get used to saying your mom's house.
Yeah. And this guy I'm going to truncate this guy had wild stories. Okay. But to summarize, he was a follower of the bukkake circuit out in L.A. in the 90s.
There's a circuit?
There's a whole, like, hey, man, here's the flyer for the next one. Come to this abandoned butcher warehouse.
Listeners, if you don't know what that is, I urge you to hit pause on the podcast. Go into incognito mode. Make sure you're not at work. And Google it for your own edification. So
this guy was like a regular. He didn't participate. He would just go and like hang out and watch.
Yeah.
And he was in a dark place in his life, doing heroin and like whatever. And he really wanted to get into comedy. And Bob Odenkirk was one of his heroes because he had watched Mr. Show and he was like, oh, this is what I need. So he also was a real estate guy. And using real estate like records and things like that, he found Bob Odenkirk's address.
Oh, no.
Wrote him a letter that basically said, hey, you think you're the best and I want to get into comedy. And he's like, here's my number. And like Bob Odenkirk called him and was like, who the fuck are you? He's like, what? He's like, this guy that I loved and cherished was like, why the fuck are you reaching out to me? He's like, well, you're just my hero. He goes, what do you want? He goes, you can't do this, man. You're sending a letter to my house, my wife, and my kids. Like, who the... Because I think, was it Tom and Christina were like, oh, yeah, a fan sends us a letter to our house. I'm like, when are we moving? Because, like, what the fuck? What are you doing? This is not the way you do this. Yeah. And he's like, what do you want?
This guy was on the show. Okay, yeah.
And he goes, Bob Odenkirk says, what do you want? He goes, look, man, I just want to have some lunch with you. Like, I want to figure out how to get a comedy. And Bob Odenkirk did it. Took him out to lunch.
Really?
Like, all right, meet me for lunch here. And he said, Bob was incredibly like kind and everything. Like he went above and beyond given the circumstances. He basically was like,
he should have said, meet me here, and then had the cops meet the guy there and fucking arrest his ass. That's crazy.
Look, go to UCB and get your chops up and do all this sort of stuff. So what Steven heard was, cool, I go to UCB and then I'll get whatever I need and we'll go from there. And this was like at the pretty early stages of UCB out. And for anyone who doesn't know, that's Upright Citizens Brigade. Yeah. It's a comedy place started by Matt Besser and some other folks. So he thinks they have I think it was on a weeknight they had, it was called Illegal and Fucked Up Video Night.
Okay.
All right. So Steven's idea was like, I know what I'll do. I'll go to one of these bukkake events.
Oh, no.
And I'll bring a film crew.
Oh, no.
And so he went there and like he had this whole video of him like hanging out, like interviewing people and like, just filming the whole thing as it's happening.
I'm not a fan of where the story is
having
going.
Really good commentary. Like he goes up, like there's a guy like that's basically getting prepared for this on a couch. He goes, lays on the couch next to him, asks him some questions.
No, thank you.
When everything's said and done, and the girl, he goes to interview the girl, he gives her a big old hug.
Nope. Oh, God.
And she goes, oh my God, you're so disgusting. He was just like, whatever. So he filmed all of this.
I have no words.
All right. And then he goes to Illegal and Fucked Up Video Night and goes in front of a theater of 200 people. All right. Plays the film. All right. Starts out, people are like, oh, cool, this is going to be, okay, right. And then there's a definitive moment where all the laughter stops as he shows this.
Yep.
Matt Besser's there.
Oh, boy.
Like, all these people
Amy
are
Poehler,
there.
I'm sure.
I think Horatio Sands was there. Like, all these guys.
Yeah.
And at some point, like, people are just shocked. And when it's over, Matt Besser's like, all right, so should we have him come up on stage and answer some questions? And he gets up there. And, like, I think Horatio Sands is like, so, why do you hate women? He's like, I don't hate women. He goes, what are you talking about? And he basically gets booed. People start throwing shit at him.
Holy cow.
There's this intern that stands up crying. She's like, I brought my parents here tonight.
Oh,
and he goes, why would you bring your parents to a legal and fucked up video night? What's your problem? And essentially, he got shamed out of that room and was basically told. And what was funny to him is he's like, you guys, this is called illegal and fucked up video night. I think I came prepared. Like, he goes, you guys have shown other stuff of like people shitting on stage and all this other stuff. There was like a punk rock guy, I can't remember his name, but he's like, that guy, you think I hate women? He goes, that guy beat women. And you guys are showing videos of him up there and shitting on stage. He's like, fuck you for not liking what I do. He's like, he walked out there and he goes, wouldn't you know it? They never had another one of those nights. And he goes, I'll take credit for that.
Jesus Christ.
But the whole point of that story
Please tell me what the moral was
that there's some videos that's like, yeah, we should probably censor that.
That movie should have gotten pulled.
But here's the thing, too. The audience watched it, reacted, and was like, no.
Right.
We don't like that.
Right.
Boo. Boo to you. Boo to what you did. Don't bring that here ever again. And it's hilarious to me because even back then, that was known for like alt comedy and some smart stuff. So this guy to bring a bukkake video and play it for 200 people, it's hilarious after the fact. But the idea is that audience was like, we reject this.
They judged it.
We don't like it.
Right.
Don't ever come back here with that shit again. In fact, we're going to cancel this night altogether moving forward. And the audience responded to the quote unquote art that was being portrayed up there. And that's where I'm like,
oh boy.
To a certain degree, that's where I feel like people will respond, and this is where I think their money will matter, is because people are willing to pay to go see a movie. Like, I'll never understand why Avatar did as well as it did at the movie theater, but people loved it. They voted with their money,
for whatever
right?
reason, yeah.
And so I'm like, let people vote with their money.
Yeah.
That's kind of where, and that's super practical. That's super objective. And, it's one of those things where I'm like, I have a feeling that in most cases, that will sort itself out. Now, the problem is, if people are like, I think this sucks, but people show up in droves to see it, then it kind of sucks, but at the same time...
Then you get the Purge 7.
Or it's like, it's just good enough.
Right.
Where someone's like, you know what, we could probably do a sequel.
Let's greenlight it.
That's what sucks. But again, I feel like money is where the people put their money where their mouth is in that sort of regard. And that's where I feel like I say let those people decide whether or not it's good, and let the public decide. Don't decide that for them.
So the Groundlings used to have a show they did out in LA, and it was a live based show, but it was a
live based show. Nice.
Yeah, it was not a video based show. It was a live based show. And the audience, it was similar in content, I guess, to like the fucked up and illegal video, or it was just kind of a no holds bar show. And typically they would. Now, have you seen like comedy slams?
I have.
Yeah. So like they come up and like they battle each other. It was very similar in that regard. So they would invite two people up on stage, and they would legitimately battle each other until one of them was dead.
Oh my God.
And the other person was alive, and one person would leave, and the other person they wouldn't. And that and people would watch it, and they would cheer or they would boo. Either way,
they decided
the outcome. Yeah, and I'm blanking on what they used to call that show.
Throwdown.
It was the Throwdown.
Throwdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm proud of that one.
Yeah. That was good. It was very detailed.
So today's Throwdown, it's going to be a departure from our topic.
Hold on. I think we could stick with our topic. You know what I'm inspired by? Bukkake. All right, let's start there. Just kidding.
All right. Peter North. Verse Ron Jeremy.
Peter North.
RJ for the win. So no, today going to be vastly separated from our topic. Good Lord, I don't think we could have gotten any further away from our topic with these two if I had tried. Today's Throwdown is going to be two scientists / inventors.
Okay.
It's going to be Wayne Szalinski from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
I was like, that's where it's from.
He is a scientist and inventor.
Like the hockey player?
The race car driver versus Dr. Emmett Brown. from Back to the Future.
Ooh,
so Wayne
interesting.
Szalinski was a scientist and inventor, a genius, and Dr. Emmett Brown is a self-proclaimed student of all sciences and also an inventor and also a genius. And so we've got basically, they both fuck with particles, I would say, at some level. One has invented time travel. One has invented the ability to resize living organisms, both big and small, or both to a larger and a lesser size. And, Doc Brown had a bunch of other inventions, too, that may or may not have worked.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'd say Doc Brown definitely has a height advantage.
Agreed.
On Wayne Szalinski.
Wayne Szalinski is also Canadian.
And I don't really think I've seen much of what Wayne Szalinski can do physically versus we've watched Doc Brown survive in the West.
Good call.
We've watched him.
Call.
No, he didn't do much,
right?
But he was also very clever.
He invented,
but also in situations where things got, sort of hairy, he thought his way through the process, and he was really, calculated a lot. Whereas Wayne Szalinski did a terrible job taking care of his kids.
False. Did you not see the Rube Goldberg machine that he created to make toast?
Well, okay, I saw that, but he also shrunk his kids.
Details.
And blew up his kid.
Minor details.
Yeah. Let his kid rampage. And again, physically.
He also fixed him. Just putting it out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was reading an article that
he also fearlessly shrunk himself to go find the kids.
I think. I was like, I don't think that happened at all.
That might have happened.
No, I don't think that did.
Oh, and Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves, he did.
Oh, Jesus. I didn't know. Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
Yep. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Honey, I Blew Up the Kids. Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves.
Jesus Christ. No wonder he's retired. But it's a thing where, like, I don't see him like he's now. It's not like Doc Brown's a bodybuilder or anything, but I feel like Doc Brown has.
Have you seen him with a shirt off?
I have.
False.com.
Rule 34, baby. But I think he has shown his proclivity to not only think himself through immediate dangerous situations, like the whole thing with the train and Back to the Future 3, Back to the Future 2, being able to outsmart the situation. Not to say that Wayne Szalinski is not intelligent, and he's able to figure stuff out, but he basically needs, even when his kids are shrunk, to basically help them out to get them resized again, to figure out that it was the baseball on the machine that made it happen. And it's one of those things where Szalinski seems more of a doofus in most situations, and Emmett Brown seems more. He has more of a proclivity to survive and adapt in situations. So I think, based on the size differential,
because Wayne is about 5 feet tall. So. Yeah.
And I think based on the size differential and also just the lack of athletic ability that we've seen from him, and Doc Brown ain't Gronkowski, but he's definitely, I think, shown more ability to survive in physically than Szalinski.
I would say if it was just a one-on-one, just fist fight, I would have to give it to Doc Brown because he's got the height. He's a little bit more. He's been through the ringer. He knows what's up. And he's never been one to back down from an altercation. If one, he stood up to bit, and even in the West, he had that gun that he shot Marty down with, but he was right there, standing tall, like I'm ready to face this.
Yeah.
Very confident. He also has the confidence where I think Szalinski kind of cowers a little bit behind, and he hides behind his intelligence.
Yeah.
I will say though that if they had their inventions. The fact that Szalinski's was basically a death ray that would literally blow things up, not make them big, but he murdered so many apples.
Yeah, it sure did.
Yeah, I feel like if they had their inventions, I got to give it to Szalinski. But if it's a one-on-one fist fight on the stage of the Groundlings, I got to give it to Dr. Emmett Brown.
Yeah, I think it's Dr. Emmett Brown because you could argue that with his time machine, he could use that to his advantage to avoid.
True. He goes back to when Szalinski's still working on his shrinking ray.
Yeah, and just takes his shoelaces, wraps around his neck, and just slowly.
I'll watch your kids for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna literally blow them up.
I'm their new father. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Then he takes them back to 1955 and he raises them. They become Marty's parents, and then it's all
the whole thing. All connected together.
Right. Doc Brown for the win. Yep.
That was the Viking horn that just went off. It signified the winner.
I just have to see Rick Moranis'
It's spelled
height.
Bukkake.
Rick Moranis is 5'6".
There's two Ks.
And then Christopher Lloyd height. I just have to know. Christopher Lloyd, 6'1" to 5'6". Lloyd's
Bit
got
of a
the
reach.
reach. Yeah.
Bit of a reach there.
You know, we're talking about boxers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
An inch can go a long way, and that guy has got him by 5.
That is what she said.
No, I'm sorry. 6, 7. 7 inches. Yes. That's a lot.
7 inches is nothing to put your nose up to.
No, sir.
Or turn your back on.
No, don't turn your back on 7 inches.
Yep.
It's going to get you.
It's going to get you.
Well, that was fun. It was a little silliness, a little seriousness. It was good. It was a good episode. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Douglas.
What do you got to promote this week?
I
my
finished
friend?
Good Omens.
Yeah? What do you think? I have not finished it yet.
I liked it. I don't know if they're planning on a season 2 at all. They could easily leave it as such. I don't know what the source material dictates, but if this is where they leave it, I think it's a fantastic limited run series. If they pick it up, I wouldn't mind spending more time with these characters. I love, is it Michael Sheen? Yeah. Michael Sheen. I love David Tennant. Yeah. I think they are just both brilliant, and together they are pure magic. Yeah. I love them. It definitely was a little uneven in points, but I still liked it. I would give it a solid 80.
Nice.
80, 85, yeah.
Cool.
And there was something else that I know that I watched recently. Did I say Green Book last time?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, so Green Book, and then what did I watch? I watched Deadpool 2 on the plane back from L.A. This is a good movie. Go watch it again. Yeah.
Since you're done with Good Omens, you can now start on The Boys.
Yes. Which I've seen episode 1, and I liked it. And I liked it.
I got Jill started on it last night.
Did you? Yeah.
We watched the first 2 episodes, and I'm like, yeah. I actually just went back and reread the comics after I watched it, and then I started rewatching the show again.
Nice.
It's such a wonderful premise. If you guys have not watched The Boys, it's on Amazon Prime. Check it out. Essentially, it's about a world where superheroes exist. They're complete and utter fuck-ups and assholes. And there's a clandestine group of guys that essentially known as the Boys, who essentially keep them in check.
Yes.
And it's the premise exists from the comics to the show, but the show takes a lot of creative liberties that I fucking love.
Okay, love it.
I absolutely love what they've done because the comic gets a little. Say a little over the top is a bit of an understatement at times, and already I'm like, oh, this is really cool. I love what they've done, and at the end of the season, I'm like, fuck, I don't even know where we're going. This is great. This is so cool. The actors are incredible. Carl Urban as Butcher, so good. The guy who plays Huey is incredible. The guy who plays Homelander, that dude will chill you to the fucking bone.
Love it.
By the end of the series.
Love
That
it.
is so amazing. Elizabeth Shue's great. It's amazing stuff all around, so check it out on Amazon Prime. I can't speak enough about it. They're already filming season 2, and I read that The Boys is the most watched show Amazon has ever had.
Really?
It's had the most views out of any show that they've ever had.
Okay.
So people,
saying something.
People enjoy it, so definitely check it out.
Cool.
Nice. So, gang, let's talk about Mind Gap.
Yeah.
We have a YouTube channel, which you should absolutely check out because that's where you're going to find Doug Watches Awkward Videos, Justin Plays Video Games, as well as our most recent and back catalog of episodes that you can watch on YouTube. So go to YouTube, look us up, Mind Gap Podcast, find our stuff there. We are releasing our back catalog on Mondays, and we're releasing our most recent episodes on Thursdays. Same place where you find all of our podcasts, wherever they're bought and sold. So definitely check that out. We've got a lot of fun stuff that's coming out there, and just a way to get our back catalog out there as well. Also, if you have any fan art you want to submit, like the wonderful Jared Urbis, we will feature it on the YouTube videos that we do post out that have the audio. Right now, Jared has his very special Mind Gap piece of fan art that we feature on there. So if you got something you want to contribute, please send it our way. We'll be happy to feature it on there. You guys can also find us on our social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at MindGap Podcast. You can also email us, mindgappodcast@gmail.com. And Justin also exists in the digital realm.
On Instagram and Twitter at Justin_Michael, spelled Mikel. It's the fun way of spelling it. While you're in the online realm, check us out on iTunes, on Apple Podcasts.
There you go.
On Stitcher, on
Spotify,
and on Google Podcast, wherever they're bought and sold. And you can review us, rate us, subscribe to us, share us around, all those good things that make us so happy. And then check out 2east8th.com/mindgap. And then just keep your eye on 2east8th in general, all the social presences. We just wrapped shooting on Sid Penrose out in LA this last weekend. It went amazing. Our actors were stellar. Our crew was just top-notch rock stars. I'm very excited to see what we get out of this. So be on the lookout for that.
Yarg.
Yarg.
As they say in Canada, yarg.
Exactly.
Justin, thank you so much.
Douglas, thank you.
Twitch, thank you so much. And to you listening to these sultry sounds, thank you. Because we are now into year 5, which is pretty exciting. So thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next week.